Hi everybody, so happy to see you guys for cooking. Today we're gonna make crab tortillas, or you could also call it crab quesadillas if you want. So the things that we're gonna need for this recipe are tortillas. I have little ones, but any size is okay. Refried beans, if you like refried beans. If you don't, that's okay, you can skip that step. Some kind of shredded cheese, whatever kind you like. I'm using the dairy-free kind. That's the most important thing because it's gonna make your quesadilla stick together. And red pepper. That's gonna be our crab claws and also add a nice crunch in the middle. Any kind of vegetables that you wanna add, I'm gonna add some mushroom and some onion, but it's up to you what you wanna add, or if you just wanna have a cheese one, that's fine too. And some oil for your pan, and also a pan, which is over on my stove over there. You'll also need a cutting board, a knife, and a spoon. So the first thing we need to do is wash our hands. If you haven't washed your hands already, I just washed my hands before we started, so I'm okay. But I'll give everyone a chance to wash their hands before we get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is get your package of tortillas, and you're gonna take one out. I'm just gonna make one crab. You could make many if you want, but I just had lunch, so I don't wanna make too many. Make sure you close up your tortillas after so they stay fresh. So you're gonna take your one tortilla that you have and put it on your plate flat like this. And we'll put that to the side. The next thing we're gonna do is open up our refried beans if you're using refried beans. Is anybody gonna use refried beans? Or any sort of other beans? Michael Bracco is not using refried beans. Thumbs down. All right, I'm just gonna open mine up. You might need a can opener for this. Mine has a little tab. Then you're gonna take a spoon and scoop out some beans and spread it on just half of your tortilla. So I'm just using my spoon to spread it out. And we're just gonna go half because we're gonna fold it in half at the end.
I don't know.
Okay, I think that's enough for me. I'm gonna put my refried beans off to the side now. Okay, so next we're gonna do, I think we'll do our vegetables next. I think that's the best call. So this part you might want an adult to help you with if you're not as comfortable with cutting things, or maybe you have a chopper that makes it easier. But we're gonna take our red pepper and we're gonna cut about a quarter of it off. So we'll just cut it down like that so that I have a little quarter piece that looks like this. So once we have our long piece like this, we're gonna cut it into 2 long strips. So I'm gonna take my knife and I'm just gonna cut it down, and it's gonna make a strip like this. These are gonna end up being our crab claws. So you have 2 long strips like this. And when you have your 2 long strips, we're just gonna cut both of them in half. So that'll give us 4 little strips that we're gonna make into little claws like this. Then we're gonna put those aside because we're gonna use these at the end. Then with our leftover piece that we have cut, we're just gonna cut it into small pieces to put it in our tortilla, which will add a nice crunch when we eat it, and some color too. So now I have all of these little pieces. Okay, so now that we have our little pieces of pepper, we're gonna take them and we're gonna sprinkle it on top of our refried beans. Or if you don't have refried beans yet, just on your tortilla. And just spread them out. So now your tortilla will look something like this. Okay, so next we're gonna take our cheese And mine's already shredded. Maybe if you don't have shredded cheese, you might need some help with a cheese grater to shred it, but I like the shreds because it makes a little less work for me. So you're gonna take a handful of your shredded cheese and sprinkle it on top of your beans and red pepper. And the cheese is good. It's gonna make your quesadilla stick together. So if you like cheese, feel free to put lots on there. Then your quesadilla will look something like this. So next, we're gonna add any extra veggies you might wanna add. So I'm adding a mushroom. So I'm gonna cut up my mushroom into little pieces, but maybe you're adding a different pepper, maybe you're adding onion, maybe you're adding cucumber or carrots, whatever you like best. I'm just gonna cut my mushroom into little pieces, just like how we did with the red pepper. And I'm gonna sprinkle it onto my quesadilla. My problem when I make quesadillas is I always fill them too big, and then they leak out. And I think I'm gonna do it again this time. So I'm just cutting my mushroom and I'm sprinkling it on top. And I think that's enough. And I'm gonna leave, I think my extra mushrooms I might use to decorate my quesadilla after. So I might cut one of my mushrooms and do a little smiley face. But you could use your pepper, or you could use any other vegetable you're using. But I think that's gonna be my little smile. And I'm just gonna cut up the rest of my mushrooms. Great work, everyone. The other vegetable I'm gonna add is a little bit of onion because I love onion. But I'm just gonna add a tiny bit. So I'm gonna cut a little bit off my onion. I'm gonna cut it into little pieces, just like how I did with my pepper. And I'm just gonna sprinkle that on top. Looks like everybody has their toppings on, so your quesadilla will look like half a blank tortilla and half a full one. So now we're gonna fold it in half, so hopefully it'll hold all our toppings in. Again, I always fill mine up too big and I have to squish them down. So I fold it in half and I'm just gonna squish it down together. Now, your quesadilla will look like a half of a circle, all squished in half. Great work, everyone. So the next thing we're gonna do, now that our quesadilla is folded in half, is we're gonna move over to the stove. So you're gonna want an adult to maybe help you with this part, just because we're gonna be using the stove, it'll be hot, so we wanna make sure we're all being careful. Okay, so now we're at the stove. I'm gonna turn the light on so you can see a little better. Hopefully. We're gonna take our frying pan and put it on the stove top, turn the burner on to like low medium heat, in between there. Okay, so I have my burner on, I'm adding just a little bit of oil, or a lot of it. I poured it out pretty fast. And I'm moving the pan so that the oil spreads around, so it's not all just in one pool. Then, I'm gonna very carefully take my half tortilla that I folded, and I'm just gonna place it on top of the oil. Very, very carefully because the pan is hot. And I'm gonna leave it there for about 4 minutes. We'll check at 3 minutes. Let me set my timer. Puns. Oh, here's my timer. All right, I'm gonna turn that off and it's time to flip. So, this is the moment of truth, and the part that I'm always the most nervous about is flipping. So I'm gonna take my spatula and I'm just gonna tuck it underneath I'm gonna be very careful because it's hot. And I'm gonna flip really quickly. Oh, I lost a little bit. But I'm gonna set another timer for 4 minutes for this side of the quesadilla. So make sure you're turning your stove off when your quesadilla is nice and crispy. Quesadilla is nice and crispy. You're gonna take it off of the pan, put it onto your plate, and take the pan off of the heat just so the oil that's left over doesn't burn. We've got quesadillas. Everyone be careful because they're probably a little bit hot. We've got quesadillas, but they don't look quite like crabs yet. So we're gonna decorate. Remember those pepper slices we made earlier? Those will be our little crab claws. I'm just gonna stick them in the side here so that they stick out just like a crab. And then I saved a little bit of mushroom for my smiley face, but you could use a little more pepper, or you could use some onion or whatever other vegetables you have. And I have a little bit more extra mushroom, so I think those will be my eyes. So I'll do one here, and one here. Ooh, maybe that's the best way to do an eye. I'm gonna do it like this. Now it looks like my crab has eyeliner. All right, so here is my quesadilla crab here. All of you guys have done such an amazing job. So we'll say goodbye now so we can all eat our quesadillas. Thank you all for coming. Bye, everybody.